I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known, America was never a home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me, maybe this slavery draining my energy.
As a young black man, I feel that I have an obligation to my race of people. Not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people. As a young black man, I feel that I have an obligation to my race of people. Not to no other race or no other nationality, just to black people.
But there's so many lies that we believe and so many doctrines within doctrines in the Christian church. Like they say, plead the blood of Jesus. What the hell does that mean? The prophets of the Lord are being rose up again in this time period to bring back the Lord's chosen people. That's and right. To stand on our feet and be those people again. That
your ancestors wasn't junkies. They wasn't getting high and, you know what I mean, hating one another and killing one another. You know why? Because they was being killed by the slave master. They wasn't, your ancestors had a different mindset. And if you really think about it, our ancestors were stronger than us and they were better than us. You know why? Because they knew they had an enemy and they knew who their enemy was. Today, black people don't know who your enemy is.
How the hell you think we got this truth? The I.S.U.P.K didn't come out of thin air. This truth comes from slaves, remembering that they were the children of Israel. We are the children of God. And if you don't understand it yet, you will understand it. We will bring it to you. We will get it through your brain that you are God's chosen people. And there is no dream. There is no thing. There is no success without learning who you are as a people.
According to God, the white man is the devil.
You see, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above when they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands with this white man. Need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We'll pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that. Let bygone be. Boy, ask you to stop and ask you to profit.
Let's clap it up. Let's clap it up. All right. I'm Priest and Officer Walker Bar. This is the Wednesday night law and history class. I got young man Jeremiah with me. I got Officer Abadia Allah in the house, and we're going to rock it out. We're going to talk about the death of the brother Trey Reed. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk, and we're going to talk about some more stuff. Okay. We're going to bring out go into some history, and whatever else comes up. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Now, there's a story with a young man that was found hanging at a university in Mississippi. So I'm going to play the video. Or you got an article? We're going to read the article, then we'll play a video and we're going to talk about it. We're living right now. There is a high level of tension, racial tension because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. And things are very uneasy right now in America as far as race relations are concerned. You got something? Okay. You got the microphone?
Come on. It says Mississippi University student found hanging on campus with no signs of foul play, but family raises questions.
No signs of foul play. Isn't that something that they always say?
Right.
They always say it's no signs of foul play. When just hearing the story, you already know it sounds foul. It sounds like it's some foul play. Go ahead.
Come on. It says the death of a black student found hanging at Delta State University in Mississippi this week is raising questions. And the university's police chief hopes to have some answers by the end of the week. We ask for continuing patience and compassion in this investigation proceeds, Chief Michael Peeler said in a news conference Wednesday. The body of Demetravion Trey Reed, 21, was found Monday morning hanging from a tree near the university's pickleball courts. Peeler announced earlier this week. The incident led to the university president to acknowledge that the scene and image could be upsetting to some students, given the history of racial violence in the Jim Crow South.
Right.
An autopsy is being performed at the Mississippi State Crime Laboratory. Peeler said preliminary results should be available in the next few days. Investigators say that they have found no signs of foul play so far. Based on the preliminary examination, we can confirm that the deceased did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault.
They're saying that because there was something going around, whereas they said when they got him, the initial people that got him, his brother, there was a video that was taken down that said that he had broken his arms, his legs was broken, he had bruises and things. So they're putting that out and saying that none of those things are true. But nevertheless, it still doesn't make any sense that a black man in college would hang himself at the college, in the university, right? It doesn't make any sense. It never does, especially in Mississippi, where you have a level of racial prejudice that is like back in the days. There's a story that came out of Mississippi, and it could be Mississippi or Arkansas, where a brother was found hanging inside of a house, but he had been having problems with the law enforcement out there, and they found him on his property in the house, hanging inside the house. All right, so I'm gonna play this video of this story with Trey Reed.
Other news, a Mississippi family is searching for answers tonight after the death of a college student. 21-year-old Trey Reed was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University.
Like it. Why is it not? There we go.
Other news, a Mississippi family is searching for answers tonight after the death of a college student. 21-year-old Trey Reed was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University on Monday. Just a short time ago, we heard from his family's attorney. WRAG's Mike Sirianni shares the latest on the investigation.
Delta State University, with your false narrative, you need to proceed with caution because there will be consequences for this.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi attorney Vanessa Jones speaking out Tuesday as family of 21-year-old Demetravion Trey Reed listened quietly in the Grenada church Reed attended. The freshman at Delta State University found dead Monday morning hanging from a tree on campus. Monday, just hours after Reed was found, the university announced.
At this time, there's no evidence of foul play.
Reed's family outraged after Bolivar County Coroner Randolph Seals Jr. issued this statement, quote, "Based on the preliminary examination, we can confirm that the deceased did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. At this time, there is no evidence to suggest the individual was physically attacked before his death," end quote. Attorney Jones says DSU is leaving the Reed family in the dark.
We need answers. As of this point, the family of Trey Reed has not even received a phone call from the president of Delta State University and to tell them exactly what happened to their child that they entrusted to Delta State University.
Jones says the truth of what happened Monday should be easy to find.
Because if this young man was on the campus of Delta State University with all these cameras and all this modern technology, from the moment he left his dorm room or entered that campus, there should be surveillance of all of his actions. And that's what we want.
For your news leader in Grenada, Mississippi, Mike Suriani, WREG News Channel.
Listen, it is definitely something going on. It's definitely foul play. You understand? Especially when the family does not accept the official report and the family is left in the dark. As always, this happened with Javion McGee. The family was left in the dark. The family was in Chicago. This happened in North Carolina. And so just because of the sheer distance, they were left in the dark about what was going on and what happened with Javion McGee. Y'all remember Javion McGee was a box truck driver that was found with a rope around his neck at the base of a tree. So this is what needs to happen. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have to understand that you don't live in a new world. You still live in that old racist society pre-integration. You still live in a place where people are looking for an opportunity to hurt you and to, you know, take out, especially at this time, take out their frustrations and their aggravations about what's going on in the broader scope of America on you, on your sons and on your daughters. You understand? Let me remove this video. It's just it's a very, very sad thing, man. And lynching historically has been a way to terrorize the Black community. Right. And when they would lynch a Black person, they would leave them hanging for days so that other Black people could see that. Right. You understand? They would leave. Sometimes they would leave you up there so long that your body would fall off by your head falling off. You understand? This is the world, the real world that you live in. This is the real world that you live in. If you could give me the precept, the devil, he looks for who he can destroy, kill, steal, and destroy. If you could. You have to understand, man, you can't be laxed and relaxed in this place, especially in these times. You can't be thinking that everything is all good and America is sweet, because it's not. It's not sweet. It's not sweet at all. This is just one of many. In the last few years, you know how many Black men have been, found hanging from trees? It's probably in the 20s, in the modern era, where they say that this doesn't happen anymore. And guess what they also say? No signs of foul play. No signs of foul play. Black people, Hispanic people, you know within your spirit, that's a goddamn lie. You know that's a lie. You know in your spirit when something don't sound right. You understand? And they want to put that stain on us and say, listen, they commit suicide by I didn't mean to say the word. The algorithm is a trip, but they unalive themselves by saying, hey, I'm going to hang myself from a tree. Just like white people used to do my ancestors and terrorize my ancestors. You know, in the history of America, they record about 3,000, I think it might be around 3,000, 3,500 lynchings on record that happened. Well, you think about it, it's a small number, but that's on the record. That's what they will admit to. That's what they'll admit to. But 3,500, you got to think about 35 instances where white people gathered in crowds. 3,500 instances where white people gathered in crowds, angry mobs with tiki torches, and sometimes with their whole families, with their wives and their children out there. and lynched black men. Not only just lynched them, beat them to death, sometimes riddle their bodies with bullets, expose their lower extremities, cut off sometimes their genitals, cut off sometimes their feet and their fingers and all that to keep as souvenirs. And after that, or should I say, they will lynch you, and after that they'll mutilate your body. This is history. This is facts. You can open up the history books and see photographs of them doing this. You are dealing with a diabolical people in the Caucasian people. You're dealing with the devil that the Bible speaks of. So you have to understand, just because you have good relationships on a personal level with some white folks. Hell, I got a white, I have someone that I love that is white that helped me and raised me a little bit when I was, helped me out when I was in my youth. And I love them to this day. But that does not change who white people are as a people. That does not change the truth of what God say who they are. Just because you have good relationships, or you might have some white family, or whatever the case may be, it does not change historically who they are and who God says they are.
Right.
And the most important thing you can do is find out who God says you are.
Right.
That's the most important thing you can do right now in these last days, is find out who God says you are.
That's right.
You are the children of God, man. You need to grab on and link on to that heritage so you can understand the world a little better. Right. So you can understand, like, what happened to Trey Reed is not no accident. It is not no self-unaliving. You understand? Let me hear it.
Come on. The book of 1 Peter, chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
Your adversary in the Black Christian church, you think your adversary, the devil, is a man with a red suit on, with a red jumpsuit on, and a tail. He got a forked tail. He got horns on his head. That's who Black people and white people think the devil is. They think that adversary is the devil. That is, any issue they have, that's who, they think about whenever things are going awry. Go ahead, read it from the top again.
Come on. The book of 1 Peter, chapter 5, verse 8.
This is twofold.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about. The devil is a spirit, but guess what? You have a physical incarnation of the devil here on earth. Right.
You have a people that is doing the work of Satan here on earth. You have a people who does everything against God here on earth.
Right.
You have a people who proclaim God, but then hate the poor and say we should get rid of the poor. And they say they Christian nationalists. And they stand up on stages and they say Mexican people need to go back to Mexico. Get them out of this country. And they say Black people have a degenerate culture. Black people are this, Black people are that, but they believe in Jesus Christ. They call Christian nationalists. Well, right here, this is talking about the physical incarnation of Satan on the earth.
Right.
Who is your oppressor, who you know as the Caucasian or the European, the devil that the Bible speaks of. You understand? Go ahead, keep reading.
Come on. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
How can you be sober and vigilant, Ibad? In this day and age, in America, how can you, as a Black and Hispanic person, be sober and vigilant? Go ahead.
So like how you said, like identifying your enemy and identifying who you are, so you know who you're up against, so you know the kind of tools that your enemy will use against you. The devil. Basically just identifying who your enemy is. Like,
being sober-minded, not being a damn in your mind, being a hippie and trying to smoke weed with everybody and trying to love everybody and think that because they laugh at your jokes that you are included. You're a part of the club, because you're not a part of the club. Your problem is Black and Hispanic people don't understand what team they really own.
Right.
Your team is God's army. Your team is being, an Israelite according to the Bible, a son of God, a son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's your team.
Right.
Your team is black and brown. Unite or die. I don't understand why you think your team is Republicans or Democrats or liberals or conservatives and this and that and Christian nationalists. That's not your team. Your team is, keeping the law, statute, commandments, being those chosen people that God wanted us to be. That's your team. And because you don't know your team, you take L's all the time because you're on the wrong team. You ain't never winning. You can't win because you're on the wrong team. You don't got the right leadership. You don't got the right management, the right coaching. You're in disarray. And so you can't win against this beast. You can't win against these people. Right. You can't win trying to do it your way. You can only win with God behind you. Right. And God is not going to be behind us if we're into this philosophy, into that, believing in this. God will never be with us. He'll never, and we done had the solution a long time ago. We got the footwork. We got the desire, but we don't have the knowledge of what team we own.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 9. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished.
You can stop, Salaki. You can stop. So what you have to understand, like a lot of black people don't understand, is that we live we live as a nation of people. And when I say a nation, I'm talking about brown people. I'm talking about indigenous people, Native American people. I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about Mexican people. We are a nation living within another nation of people.
Right.
And we are the second-class citizens of the nation. But we have the power to shut down the nation. If black and brown people say we're not going to work tomorrow, guess what? It's a wrap. Excuse me. It is a wrap for America. If we said we're not, everything that you think that you want, that these politicians ask for, when they go to the Senate and Congress and they try to pass laws and they try to get certain kind of monies diverted to go to black and brown communities, all of those things they're asking for, they could get it overnight if we was keeping the commandments and we was unified. And we say, you know what? No one goes to work tomorrow. Do you know that, all of those CEOs will be crawling and begging and asking, what do we want? What are our demands? Anything, if we just come back to work. Because America floats and we are the lifeblood of America. Without us, there is no America. Without us, there was no Egypt. Egypt couldn't. When Pharaoh seen that we was leaving, he thought to himself, you know what? I'm finna go get these niggas. They gonna come back. How are we gonna sustain ourselves? These people were doing everything in the kingdom, all the lower jobs, just like in America. So we need to understand that. We need to understand that we do have power. We may be second-class people, but we do have power. But we can't exercise that power and be successful unless the Lord is with us. In order to be successful with it, we have to have the Lord with us. It's not going to happen. Let me tell you something. The Black Panthers, they had a good thing going. They had it right. The Black Panthers had it right. Feeding each other, feeding the children, food program, not allowing brothers to sell drugs in the community. You couldn't sell drugs in the community with Black Panthers patrolling, protecting the community from racist police. But the only thing they didn't have is the knowledge of self, the knowledge that they were Israelites, the knowledge to keep the commandments and be righteous.
Right.
If you're going to have something like that and you're not righteous, it doesn't matter. Your enemy will defeat you every time. And guess what? Drugs defeated the Black Panthers. Infiltration defeated the Black Panthers. Hatred and envy and all of that defeated the Black Panthers. Because they didn't have the truth.
Right.
They had a good formula, though. And they were pioneers. I'm not saying this to down the Black Panthers, but they had a good formula. But they didn't have the Most High. They didn't have the understanding of who we are. And it doesn't matter how many militias you build as Black people, how many guns you get as Black people, how many programs you build as Black people. They can't be successful unless, number one, you have the Lord on your side. Number two, you separate from the things of America. You have to take your mindset out of the culture of living that culture of celebrating holidays and things of that nature. You can't win. All right. It's a sad thing to see that this is happening, but we have to educate our children and educate our people of who we are. It's not it's very shocking to people that this is happening, but in the truth, this is not shocking that they're finding Black people being hung. Right. It's not shocking that they find an undocumented a person at the border shot to death in an unmarked grave. It's not shocking because I know who white people really are. I know the history of them. Right. I know the history thanks to Commander General YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K. Since 1969, men that have did the research, men that had laid down the foundation for somebody like me to come in and understand who are we dealing with in America? Right. Who are these groups in America? The most dominant groups in America is Black and white people. And yet we still can't get along in certain kind of ways. So that is the answer to all of the questions and all of the shock that you have, because you even have Black people today that when you get treated less than, or you get your first taste of racism, of prejudice, racial bigotry, you're shocked. You don't understand, how could this be? Well, if you knew who you were and who they were, you wouldn't be shocked. Right. You'll probably double down and give them a dose of their own medicine. You understand? They say something, off the wall to you racially, probably call them something too, because you're not surprised. You already know that they have that capability. What Donald Trump has done is he has activated a button in white people. There's a button deep down in white people that is irate and ready for war and ready to, murder. There's a button deep down in white people. And that thing that happened with Charlie Kirk, that pressed that button. I don't know if you noticed it, but it pressed that button. You understand? Forget all of the kind words and how they talk, and they talk in a way that's so peaceful and moderate and all of that. No, they didn't come to power like that. They didn't get America like that. They got America by being extreme, racist, and genocidal. That's how they got America. It wasn't by them shaking hands and talking about peace and love and kindness and Jesus Christ, the love of Jesus Christ. That's not how they got America. That's not what they did with the Native American Indians. Right. They didn't come to the Native American Indians trying to tell them about the love of Jesus Christ. That's not what happened. Okay. If you could, so I'm gonna move on. I want to hit a story I think is a really good story so you can understand more about the oppressor. This story is with the boxer, retired boxer champion Roy Jones Jr. Yeah, let me play it.
Surprise of a lifetime for Pensacola's Roy Jones Jr. The former world boxing champ now holds that gold medal that was denied him in the 1988 Olympic Games.
That decision wasn't made by an Olympic committee. It was a gift from his opponent, a South Korean boxer who the judges said beat Jones 37 years ago in the opponent's home country. Now that decision remains one of the biggest controversies in Olympic history.
Tanner Stewart talked to Roy Jones today about that fight and why his opponent felt compelled to give him that medal after more than, 3 decades now?
That's more. Roy Jones Jr. mentally prepared he was to face every opponent in his 33-plus year career. But facing Park Si-hun in the ring just 2 years ago, one of the biggest surprises of his life, and it wasn't even for a fight. Let's rewind to 1988.
So, unanimous decision for Roy Jones, the 19-year-old from Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola's Roy Jones was the youngest member of the U.S. Olympic boxing team at the '88 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. His first 4 fights en route to the final weren't close. Jones didn't lose a round. He went on to fight for the gold medal against South Korea's Park Si-hun. It was a decisive victory for Jones on the scorecard, landing 86 punches to Park's 32. The judges saw it different, awarding Park Si-hun the gold medal. Even then, Jones told our Dan Shugart that Park knew who the real winner was.
Korean boxer lifted your hand up on the stand, and then I understand he was talking to you after the fight. What all did he say to you?
He told me he was sorry that he lost the fight, but got the decision. Every other sport, You score enough points, you win the game. You cross the line first, you win the race. Boxing, you don't know what the hell might happen. So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to keep on boxing.
Despite being a gold medal champion, it was Park Si-hun who retired from boxing after the Olympics. He never stepped in the ring for an organized fight again. The decision cast a shadow over the entire Olympic Games that year. Since then, evidence emerged over major corruption in the decision. 35 years later, Roy Jones got a phone call.
2 years ago, I got a call that somebody wanted to see me in my gym. They didn't want to do an interview. I said, okay. I walk out here, and lo and behold, it's Park Si-hun standing in my ring.
All by himself?
Yeah, so I got in the ring to shake his hand, and he gave me the gold medal back. I was like, oh, gosh.
Park Si-hun made a surprise visit to Jones' farm in Escambia County to personally gift him the gold medal.
He knows that it didn't belong to him, and he couldn't sleep at night with it not belonging to him and him having it. So for years, he's wanted to give it back, and for years, I wanted to get it back.
For more than 2 years, the pair kept it a secret. Jones revealed that Park will undoubtedly face backlash from his home country when the news breaks. He says Park's ready to make right.
Sometimes when you do things like that, it's against what they had planned to do, they will take you out for that. So I didn't want to jeopardize his life, and that's why I didn't even announce it when he brought it to me, because I didn't want nothing bad to happen to him. He didn't do it. The judges did it. But he suffered, just like I suffered. We both suffered because of what they did, the injustice that other people did to the sport of boxing.
Roy Jones says there's no doubt getting cheated out of a win fueled his dynamic career. After the Olympics, he went on to win his first 17 professional fights, 16 by knockout. He's one of the few boxers in history to win a world title in 4 divisions: middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight, with a career record 66 wins, 9 losses, and no draws. Jones says the decision by Park Si-hun to return the medal speaks less about him as an opponent and more about him as a person.
If people in the world were like that, we have a much better world today.
That's all I wanted to get to. Said if people were in the world like that, we'd have a much better world today, right? And that's the thing when it comes to Black and Hispanic and Native Indian people. If your oppressor was willing to right the wrongs of the past, we have a much better world today.
Right.
Now here with Roy Jones Jr., you got this guy, this Asian guy for 35 years. He felt bad because he knew the wrong that he did. He knew the corruption in saying that he won the gold medal fair and square, and it wasn't right. And he couldn't sleep at night, and he couldn't feel like an actual man, knowing he didn't really win. And so 35 years later, he gives the gold medal back. Imagine if we lived in a world where people actually fix the wrongs of the past. That would be a righteous society. But this is not Christ's kingdom. But Christ's kingdom is coming. You understand? In his kingdom, every wrong will be righted. You understand? In a righteous kingdom, every wrong will be righted. If you could, give me Ezekiel 33 and 15.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
If the wicked restore the pledge, give again that he had robbed, walk in the statutes of life without committing iniquity, he shall surely live, he shall not die.
Right. If the wicked restore the pledge, meaning if you give back what you have stole, if the white man wanted to give back what if he had a conscience and he gave back what he stole and he repatriated what he has taken and destroyed and reaped off of the backs of Black people, and he gave the land back to the North American Indians, and he gave the land back to the Mexicans, he wouldn't die. But the problem is that he is selfish, and he's not willing to give it back. He's not willing to restore what he has taken. He is not willing to fix what he has destroyed. He just wants to gobble up and take. You understand? And so you are dealing with a people that will not stop, will not feel compassion, will not feel bad for the evil that they do to other groups. And so the only way to fix that is for God to restore those things, and God bring judgment on them.
Right.
Read it from the top again.
Oh God. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse 15. If the wicked restore the pledge, give again that he had robbed, walk in the statutes of life without committing iniquity.
Without committing iniquity, go ahead.
He shall surely live. He shall not die.
He shall surely live. He shall not die. He won't die. If the oppressor gives back what he taken, what he has took from God's chosen people, if he restores what he has destroyed and broke down with God's chosen people, he will live.
Right.
But the problem is that he's so prideful that he can't even conceive doing something for God's chosen people in that fashion.
Right.
What he does is give out little crumbs. He drops little crumbs here and there and say, here, I give you this. I'll give you this money, a little bit of money for this program, for that. And then he says, well, why? Well, what's the problem? Why are the black community still the same? Or why the Hispanic community? Why can't they get it right? Why are they undocumented? When he's putting all the obstacles in your way. And then he sits back and says, well, look at them. Look at them. They're underachieving. They can't do this. They can't do that. They should have been done that, because he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. So for black people to expect to get reparations and all of that, you're wasting your time.
Right.
You're wasting your time. You understand? Our real reparations and our real restoration will come from Christ. It will come at the same time that this place is being destroyed and burning down to a crisp.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. I pray you understand. If you could give me what is it, Revelations 13:9. Is right, or 10? He that leadeth into captivity.
Okay.
Right. Then we're going to get into this Charlie Kirk. I'm going to show you how Charlie Kirk, he proved that integration was a mistake. Well, his talking points. And I'm going to explain.
The book of Revelations, chapter 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Man, he that leadeth into captivity, going to go into captivity. Go ahead.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. I guess Charlie Kirk didn't read this part of the Bible. I guess the Christian nationalists, they don't know this part of the Bible, where it talks about retribution for the crimes of the past.
Right.
Where there is no clean slate. You understand? There is no, oh, I was born again in Jesus Christ.
Right.
There's no such thing as being saved. Christians walk around talking about they saved all the time. You're saved from what? Exactly. When you're living your life at the threat of anything happening to you, what are you saved from? The Bible says salvation is to be saved from your enemies.
Right.
That's in Luke, what? Luke 1 and 71, something like that. Salvation is to be saved from your enemies. So then you got to ask yourself, who's your enemy? Right? But it's only speaking to one group of people. So the one group of people is Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. So y'all have to ask yourself, who is my enemy? Is my enemy my brother that looks like me? Or at the time was the enemies the Romans?
Right.
Go ahead.
It's like, according to their doctrine, if Jesus is supposed to love everybody, that means you ain't got no enemies.
Right. If Jesus is supposed to, thank you, Abad. If Jesus is supposed to love everybody, that means you don't got any enemies, according to your doctrine. You don't got any adversaries, nobody that is trying to hurt you. Everybody is trying to love you. And you should love them. You should love them so much that when they got a gun to your head, you say, can I pray with you? Yeah, you can pray with me. Dear Lord, bang. Yeah, I mean, it is what, but that really happened. That really happened in Charleston, South Carolina with Dylan Roof. The people was trying to pray with him. After he killed somebody, they were still trying to pray with him. And he had no mercy. Christianity says, I'm going to pray for you. I'm not going to even try to fight back. I'm not going to even try to save my life physically. I think, God will see my heart. God will make a way. No, hell no, hell no. So let's get that. Let's get Charlie Kirk. All right.
Actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. It shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation. But
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that
in the
affected
last 80 years.
the generational psyche of an entire group of people?
No, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just.
So Charlie Kirk's argument, his argument is that, black people in the 1940s, black families were doing better. And black people today are in poverty, and black families in the 1950s were doing better. It was less crime. You know, they like to talk about crime. They never talk about the crime that white people commit. It was less crime, and, they were better. What some of the things Charlie is saying is true. And y'all know I do the research. This is my lane, but let me move this. Some of what he was saying is true. So when you go back to a time, and let me just say, Charlie Kirk, when he's making this point, he is basically referencing Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is a black man, a black economist. That's he was very popular in the 60s, 70s, very smart man. And he was looking at the trends. Thomas Sowell learned from Hubert Gutman, who did a study. He has a book. I actually got the book, and they surveyed black people getting out of slavery all the way into the 1940s, and just seeing different trends within the black family. So what he's quoting Thomas Sowell when he's saying that black families were doing better than black families after integration. That's basically what he's saying in a nutshell. That's something that I've said even, in class and on Black Authentic Truth. History shows, trends show that, and we know this in the truth. We've been saying this in the truth, that integration was the worst thing that happened to black people. Is that right, Abad? Have you heard that before? I'm sure some people have heard that before from the I.S.U.P.K. We've been saying that for a long time, especially on MLK Day and all that. Integration was the worst thing that could have ever happened to black people. Why are some of the reasons why we say integration is the worst thing that could have happened to black people? Well, like name a reason. Go ahead.
So, because now we got the enemies policing our neighborhoods.
That's a good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, that was the point.
Now we're policed by another people. The businesses that we had, we stopped going to those businesses because we wanted to go to white businesses. Right. So all our businesses died, went out of business. So now we start wholly dependent on another people. Go ahead.
Right now, we being taught by the oppressor as well in schools.
Now we're being taught by the oppressor. Like integration was a thing where some black people thought that it was greener on the other side.
Right.
Being able to go to a white restaurant would have been better. Being able to go to a white school where they have better books and nice desk was better. It's better than going to a school where you have a schoolhouse that's made out of wood planks, but it's all black people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what Charlie Kirk is saying is what I just said. He said that in the 1950s, black families were doing better than black families today. Black families today are in less poverty. So I went and looked it up. We want to go look up what was the average income of the black family in the 1950s? Well, the average income of the black family in the 1950s was about $2,900, give or take $2,900. The average income of a black family today is around $54,000, right? Somewhere, give or take, the average. Now, of course, you got to adjust for inflation the $2,900 for the times we living in today. So that 29 would have been about 31,000 today. So if you line it up, families in the 1950s, black families, would have been about $31,000 in income per family versus today we're at 54. That shows you right there that black people actually are not poorer today. They're actually richer, or they get more money. And I think we went over this where black families or black people, when they look at them as a group, I went over this in a video. Some of y'all probably remember. I can't remember the number where we ranked at. I think it was probably like 10 or 11, but black people rank like somewhere around there as far as how much money we bring in. How much money, it might be in the trillions per year, how much money flows through the black community. So money is not the issue. We're not poor today, like Charlie Kirk just said. When it comes to crime, crime has been a constant in all races. And in the 1950s, they wasn't really taking records on crime in the black community because no one really cared. No one really cared about black people and what they had going on. In fact, crime, black people looked at crime in the black community as though no one is paying attention like they're paying attention to crime in the white community. This is during a time when we were still segregated. This is pre-integration, right? Before we integrated. Now, when you integrated, now they're crunching numbers. Now police are now, like Abad said, going into black neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? So it's a totally different animal. But what has changed, go ahead, Abad.
So like, if I may, speaking on crime, how the general's bringing out that it was started with, the Irish and the Italian, back in the day, like all the mobs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But they think it's just us now because the oppressor has put a spotlight on our crime. They turn it into raps, movies, and TV shows. So that's why they try and focus on crime when in reality they was the original criminals. And we just following after our oppressor.
Right. You said, who is this? Why do you even have this name? You said Yahweh and Yahushua or whatever. You don't even hate Whitey. You beat around the bush and say God hates Whitey because God does hate Whitey. You mean the white man? Why you say Whitey? You scared to say the white man? God does hate the white man. I don't personally have a problem with any white person. I don't have a personal beef with a white person. We don't have personal beefs with white people. In fact, the scriptures say, don't abhor an Edomite. Right. And matter of fact, why don't you break down Deuteronomy 23:7 for me and get back to me. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, right? We know exactly who the white man is. And I bet you one thing you don't do is go out on the streets and tell them to their goddamn face that they are the devil that the Bible speaks of, like we do. We not just on the internet, we in the streets. Live in 3D, full effect in your face.
That's right.
You understand? But anyway, what was you saying?
So like I was saying, they try and put a spotlight on crime today, but in reality, crime was started by the Italians.
You brought me back. Now, the point you made is a solid point, and I'm just going to throw that in there. Like he's talking about crime in the 1950s. Right. Let's go back to crime in the early 1900s. Let's go to the 20s. Let's talk about Bugsy Siegel, Jewish crime, mobsters. Let's talk about Al Capone. All of these people were doing drive-bys, selling drugs and just, killing people. You know what I mean? And they never talk about that type of crime, that white on white crime. They never talk about the inception of those were the first drive-bys.
Right.
First ever. First gangbangers ever, mobsters. Right? Smarter than most. What are you saying? Question, Ak, if we can't hate Esau, I'm not saying so you talking about the scripture. So are you looking at the scripture like thou shalt not abhor an Edomite means you shouldn't hate him? Okay, I see what you're saying. So let's get that precept if you could.
Okay.
Let's get that precept. No sweat, smarter than most. I appreciate that question.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land.
Right. So typically when you look in the dictionary and you look at the word abor, it'll say hate. But in the Hebrew, the word abor was more like an action. It's like you're doing something to them. So it's like today I see a white man and I think about slavery in my head. Let me move this. It's like today I see the white man and I think about slavery and I think about what they did to my ancestors. And he just walking by minding his business and I just slap him up the back of his head like, you damn devil. That's what that scripture is talking about. Right. It's more, it's an action. Now I know in modern times, you look at the definition, it'll just say hate. That's not what it's talking about, because even God says, King David said, I hate what God hates. And the Most High said, Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated. So the Lord gave you the emotion of hating. And so like every emotion we have, the Lord gave it to us. And he also gave us anger. But the scripture says, don't act on that anger though. It's okay to be angry at something. It's okay to be angry at what's happened to this brother, Trey Reed, and they saying it's not foul play. They found him hanging in a tree in a university. But you can't go to the university and post up and wait till you see the first white person want to do something. That'll be foolish, right? And it'll be foolish for us to, one thing that people don't know about us in the streets is like, in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, when we're out there talking, we're not making personal attacks at people.
Right.
So like when a white man walks by, I'm not going to say something to him personally. We're talking in general. We're talking about the crimes that the white race has done to the black and brown races, the God's chosen people. We're talking about the truth. We're bringing out those things. We're also opening the eyes to our people to see who they are according to the Bible. So we'll bring out books, we'll bring out information. So we're not making personal attacks on anyone, but when they hear what we are saying, of course, they are going to make personal attacks and they are going to want to go back and forth. And those are usually the battles that you see brothers have with people. But to actually abhor an Edomite would be to put your hands on them. And it also goes on to say, he is your brother. Because at one time, the Edomites were our brother. Right. But throughout the years, the Edomites have sided with different enemies against Israel and done things to us. So when you go to Obadiah, if you could go to Obadiah, what is that? Obadiah 1 and 9, if you could. So because a lot of people will hold on to that, thou shalt not harbor an Edomite, he was your brother. And they'll say, y'all brothers, but I'm finna show you something. Why he's no longer the brother.
The book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob. Also, like you want context in verse 9?
Yeah.
Come on. Verse 9. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob.
So he says that everybody of Esau is going to be cut off by slaughter. It also says this in Isaiah 14, verse 21, prepare slaughter for their children. But it's saying now it's going to go into why earlier in the in Deuteronomy, he was your brother. Now he's your enemy. Go ahead.
For thy violence.
For thy what?
For thy violence.
For the violence that the white race has perpetrated throughout the years, committed throughout the years. Now, many people don't know this in history. When the Romans conquered Judea, or I'm speaking like a white man, when they conquered Judah in 70 AD, the Edomites was there to help them. So you have the Edomites throughout history. You have what was that Edomite? Doeg, the Edomite that he was going to kill. King Saul wanted him to kill some priests, and none of the soldiers would kill the priest, but it was an Edomite, a part of it, that he killed the priest of God, right? So throughout the years, you had Edomites. King Herod was an Edomite. You had Edomites that either were in a position or positioned themselves to do evil to God's chosen people, which were their brother at one time. But when we get to Obadiah, the prophecy, there is no longer our brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
It says, for your violence against your brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and you're going to be cut off forever, meaning this is going to be forever. Now, when you read Ezekiel 35:5, it talks about them having a perpetual hatred for the children of Israel, meaning their hatred for us is never ending. Although we can be diplomatic, we could be friends on a personal level as a nation to a nation, they will always have a perpetual hatred towards us. It's a spiritual thing. It ain't even something they can help themselves from doing. Like Donald Trump can't help, himself from, making threats towards Mexicans and talking about and doing things to black people and taking away black history out from everywhere. They can't help the evil they do to us because the Lord created them that way. Does that make sense, y'all?
Come on.
All right. So, and speaking of that, Edomites, I'm thinking about going into another comprehensive history of who white people are today, because no one does it, and they sure won't do it. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are they sought up? That's the scripture, right? Is that it on that?
Come on.
Okay, let's get back to Charlie Kirk. All right. Where was we at? We were talking about the crime. We were talking about what else about?
It's like how they try and highlight our crime, but they make it mainstream with raps, TV shows, movies.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah, so what Charlie Kirk was saying, and you've seen these clips, he spoke about black women being DEI, right? Hires, that they didn't get there with their merit. And we're talking about, I went into the fact that what he said about black families in the 1950s doing better and black families in today's time in more poverty, we see that as far as earning power, that was a lie. That's an untruth, correct? We see that we were making less money in the 1950s. So I'm going to show you straight out the difference between the 1950s and then today is that integration came. So it's not the money, it's not poverty that actually is the difference. Charlie Kirk, I'm speaking to him like he can't hear me. So like that's not the difference. For the people that think like Charlie Kirk, that is not the difference. The difference is our mindsets. The difference is we went from being unified in segregation to being individuals in integration. So instead of us being unified when we integrated, what integration did to us is made us all be for self. Like when we knew that we had people that didn't love us, that hated us, that were racist towards us, we were unified as a community. When we integrated, it was more like, I'm for self. You had different movements, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, women's liberation movement, hippie movement, black exploitation, drugs put into our communities on purpose, on record, COINTELPRO, CIA, FBI, an effort to actually really destroy us. And through that process of time, we get to where we at in 2025, right, which the black household, single parent household, destroyed, a prison population very high with black men, you name it. So it wasn't the money that was the problem. Money is not even the problem right now because trillions of dollars go through the hands of black people as a community. Money is not even the problem. It is the way we think now. It is up here is the problem. The lack of knowing who we are is the problem. The lack of spirituality, the lack of truth is the problem right now. We were making less money in the 1950s, but we didn't have all of the poison of America inside of our house.
Right.
Once we integrated, we have the poison of, same-sex marriages. We have the poison of women being highly sexualized visually. We have the poison of drugs. We have all of these new poisons once we integrated. So what happened, it was a traumatic thing that just obliterated us. So that is what really happened. Now, when you want to talk about DEI, another thing Charlie Kirk would say is he says DEI, and people that think like him would say these DEI programs lower qualifications. They lower the qualifications. Now, Abad, if you could just Google, just ask Google, does DEI lower qualifications?
Oh, God.
So Charlie Kirk would say these DEI, like Michelle Obama and them, they got jobs that they took a white person's spot because the DEI gave them that job. They didn't get it based off their merit. They didn't get it based off of their qualification. They got it because of affirmative action, DEI initiative. It lowered the qualification. They're not smart enough. I'm paraphrasing his words. Go ahead.
Colonel McCon, it says no.
It says what?
No.
You got to read it.
Colonel McCon, it says no. A well-implemented diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative does not lower qualifications.
DEI does not lower qualifications. He said, when I see a black pilot, I think to myself, boy, I hope he's qualified. Not knowing a black pilot probably had to work 2 and 3 times harder to get in that position, just because he's black. Now keep reading.
Colonel McCon says instead it expands the talent pool by removing barriers and biases.
It says instead it expands the talent pool by what?
By removing barriers and biases.
By removing barriers and biases. What are those biases and those barriers? I got a video for you. Let me play this video real quick. Let's see. Let me play this video.
People, I had my first day today at a new job, and basically, without going too far into it, my job is to schedule care for people that need it. A lot of this job is going through applications for people who want to give care. I learned today, if it is a name that does not sound white, we are to move it to the completed tasks. We then note your application as moved due to name standards. Now it's my first day, so I ask, what does that mean? I'm black, I'm very light-skinned, obviously. And she says, and I said, you mean like our names? Like our names? Because I thought it was like a brand standard, like, no, it's literally our names. So I just want you to know, and everybody else to know, this 100% happens, and I have 122 screenshots of people, their names, their phone numbers, and their email addresses, and the reason why they weren't hired directly because of their name. Then I have this. I didn't even make it 1 hour. After I got my heart rate to stop spiking, I went and found the owner like I planned and asked her directly, super calm. She didn't deny any of it. She admitted that it's, fucked up. She apologized. I told her that I don't think this is going to be a good fit because this is not something that I would be willing to participate in. I made sure to keep it like professional and not scary, like not threatening. So I have a phone call with my guy later this afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and let him tell me how to proceed. I know that this happens. It's just that I personally have never experienced this type of training. If they have a name that sounds like this or that's jacked up, we don't do it because we have standards. Like, guess we're going on a journey, and eventually we're gonna say who it is.
What were we just going over? The barriers.
Oh, God.
DEI removes barriers and what else?
And biases.
And biases. This video, this sister, she works for a company that hires people that basically do like, in-home care. And they asked her, if the name looks like this, you put it in another stack. If it's a black name, you put it in another stack. And those people don't get a call back. One of the names was Shanae, and they put Shanae. And she said, I just want to let you know that this does happen. And because she has integrity, she told the boss that she could not do that job.
Right.
She could not do the job of putting black applications that have black sounding names to the side, meaning they're not going to get a job. DEI removes those type of barriers. The barriers is called racial discrimination.
Right.
Those are the barriers that DEI initiatives remove. It didn't lower standards like Charlie Kirk said. It didn't make it easier for them. It didn't make it to where you could just walk into a job you wasn't qualified for. It removed barriers and biases. It basically was fighting against, like I say a lot of times, I said in the video, it was created to fight against the hate that white people naturally have for black people. And so they naturally are going to discriminate when you apply for a job. Meanwhile, what they'll say is, you're lazy. You're not working hard enough. You don't get a job. You're lazy. Meanwhile, you're trying to get a job, but you don't know you're not getting a call back because you got a black name. Now, another thing is the unemployment rate. This kills the DEI thing too, right? So let me pull this up real quick. So when you talk about the unemployment rate, let me drop this real quick. Oh my goodness, what did I just do? Salaki. When you talk about the unemployment rate, the thing about it is it's been a constant. It's been a constant. And I'm going back, this is going back, well, this year is, will you go back to the 1950s? It's been constant. The unemployment rate, the gap between black people and white people has been virtually the same since the 1950s. And I'm going to explain, right? So right here, this is from 2023. This graph right here, and black unemployment right here is at 7.6%, while white unemployment is at 3.3. So black unemployment is more than half of that of whites. And this increase is usually around 5. White people is usually around 3 and black people around 5. That's been a constant. Around 2020 is where it's gotten more. So we're talking about the time when COVID hit till now. So it's in the 7 percentile. Now, when you think about it, from the 1950s to now, the unemployment rate being no less than 5% for black people and 3 for white people. And this has been the same through different presidencies. This has been the same through, different things, integration, the welfare era, DEI. DEI didn't even help it. What are you talking about? DEI helps people get jobs or the standards are low when the unemployment rate has been the same since the 1950s, or it's even worse now between black people and white people. And what that shows you is what the title says. Charlie Kirk just showed you and just proved that integration was a mistake, because these things wouldn't persist and exist if you were amongst your own people.
Right.
Booyah. You wouldn't have to worry about unemployment rates. You wouldn't have to worry about somebody saying from another race how good you were in the past versus today, and they don't even got their facts straight. You wouldn't have to worry about somebody taking your application and putting it in another stack because your name doesn't look like it's a white name. That's integration, and that's what integration done to us. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for pointing that out.
Right.
Now Scotty can beam you up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't catch that. Y'all too young to know that. That was Star Trek. So I think I said it all. I brought out some good information, especially about the unemployment rate. Right. When we went unemployment rate, we went over what black people were making, the household was making in the 1950s versus today. And we went over the DEI, what DEI does and what it doesn't do. But these people will get up here and tell you DEI lowers standard so that people that are black and Hispanic can get in, and they don't have the mind power They're not smart enough. They're taking a white person's spot. When in reality, DEI is just created to fight the racism that white people naturally have.
Right.
That's all it is. DEI is just, it's just for, you know, like I said, white people had to make laws and against themselves in order to you to have a chance to be on the equilibrium with them. Because they have to make these laws because their natural self doesn't want to. It doesn't want to get along with you. And so that's what Black and Hispanic people got to see, is that the Lord wanted us to be separate. If we were separate in our mind and in our spirit and what we believe, away from America, away from white nationalists, we wouldn't have to worry about getting a job. We wouldn't have to worry about being found hung in a college.
Right.
We wouldn't have to worry about these type of things, right? I'm not saying we wouldn't have crime, but we wouldn't have the racial hatred, discrimination, and prejudice and suffer up under it like good Christians and say, you know what, I'm just gonna keep on going on. You know, it doesn't bother me. God is on my side. You know, weapons formed against me won't prosper. All of that shit. You understand? Anyway, now let's get Deuteronomy 23:6. Deuteronomy 23:6. Okay, I got another video. I'm gonna go into the video with the pastor that was speaking out against Charlie Kirk. Trooper Doc, he said, we got it. Sister said, I'm disgusted at the Black people that are co-signing for him. Man, I you know, a lot of brothers and sisters are really in the twilight zone. Really in the twilight zone. Like, you know, I can only compare brothers and sisters. Yeah, I'm gonna keep hope alive. I can only compare brothers and sisters that are co-signing for people like Charlie Kirk, are really headstrong, going hard in that conservative, democratic, whatever the case may be, politics. I can only compare them to when we came out of Egypt and when we got out in the wilderness after seeing the works of the Most High and seeing what Moses did through the Most High. They wanted to go back to Egypt, and their faith was in that. I don't know if I can call if Egypt had a democracy or the rulership of Egypt, because it was just a pharaoh. So, but our people had a faith in that, a real strong faith in that, and that's our people today. And you know, the Lord don't hope for none of our people to die, but damn, like I always think, I do think about it, like when shit hits the fan, what are Black and Hispanic people like that going to do? Because they don't know the nature of this beast. They don't want to hear that you voted for Trump. It's something really crack off right now, and it's like civil war in the streets, and it's World War III. You think them white people care if you're a Black person with a Make America Great Again hat and you voted for Trump? They just gonna see a nigga. They're gonna go to their natural self. They're gonna go to the spirit that the Lord always gave them, which is a spirit of war. That whole thing with Charlie Kirk, whether it's the guy that did it or it was an inside job, that whole thing is a spirit of Esau.
Right.
It's the blessing of Esau. Give you the blessing of a man of a field, a hunter, a mighty hunter. That whole thing is that. And Black people just don't understand, man. You do not understand. You don't have no power in this place. Your power is in your people.
Right.
You know, back in the day, you used to say power to the people. Your power is in your people. We say in I.S.U.P.K, brotherhood is a weapon. You ain't got nothing to fear if you keeping the law, statute, commandments.
That's right.
It ain't a tank. It ain't a gun. It ain't a missile. It ain't nothing this man can do to you if you right with the Lord. The Lord will fight your battles, man. But I feel very, very, I feel bad for brothers and sisters because a lot of them are very prideful too. You know what I mean? And they think they know the answer. They got the answers, and life is good on that side of being a Republican, a conservative, or life is good on being a Democrat or whatever. And it just boggles my mind But I always have to keep it in context, and I have to think like there's nothing new under the sun. So we had Israelites like this in Egypt. We had Israelites like this in Babylon. We had Israelites like this in Greece and Rome that sided with the state, the government, right, and not their people. You know what I mean? And we're lost. Even in Christ's time, you know, Christ sent out the disciples. Israelites were lost then. You know what I'm saying? Israelites were lost at that point in time. So it is what it is. But anyway, what we got? What are we getting?
Deuteronomy 23.
Okay, so we got about like 1, 2, 3. Got 3 precepts. Then we're gonna get that video, and we got 2 more. Then we'll be done.
Come on. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 6. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor prosperity all thy days forever.
And this goes into what you were saying, sis. Like these people, like a lot of our people seek the peace and prosperity of America. And a lot of black people say they're looking at Democrats like, man, they making it hard. That's the slave, what they call it? The slave party or something like that. And but anyway, they look at it like Donald Trump's way is the way for black people to be successful, for us to grow and make money and be, you know, none of this stuff is for us. Read it from the top again.
From Khan, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 6. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever.
The Lord said we shouldn't seek their peace or their prosperity. We didn't have the Lord in the 1920s. We didn't have the Lord on our side. But even without the Lord on our side, us not actually knowing who the Most High is, we were prospering because we wasn't seeking their peace and their prosperity. And so we was able to build towns. We was able to build, you know, stuff, Black Wall Street and stuff like that. And the Lord wasn't even with us like that. You know what I'm saying? Like even in our us not knowing the Lord, we still have favor because we're God's chosen people. So even in our wickedness, we do things that are wicked. You see Cardi B, you see you know, drill music, you see these different rappers, you see the wickedness and how we how the world, like we make something that's bad look good to people. And these other nations want to do it too. They want to copy what we do. Even though it's not overall, it's wicked, it's not good, but they still want to copy it. So think about it like that. So when we were self-sufficient and we were just trying to do right, we were building towns. Boom, boom, town here, town there, town this state, this state, this state, cities, boom, boom. And God wasn't even with us, but we wasn't seeking their peace and their prosperity. But imagine what we can't even imagine what we would have at this point if we were keeping the commandments as people and self-sufficient like in the 20s. Man, we probably have a whole state on our own. We'd probably be, you know, the #1 people on the planet Earth, right? Because people will be like, you know what? I like the way these people are moving because we're following the law, statutes, and commandments. I want to deal with these people. I don't want to deal with paleface. I don't want to deal with those Europeans in America. I want to deal with those black people. They seem like a wise and smart people. They make good business decisions. They're righteous. They're not swindlers. They're not making deals, backhanded deals. They're not trying to scam us. They're not trying to steal from us. They're not trying to attack us. They're not trying to kill us for our oil. I want to deal with them. You know what I mean? Who knows? Let's get Zephaniah 2 and Jeremiah 2 and 33. Come on.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 33. Why trimmest thou way to seek love?
Yeah, why trimmest your way to seek love? Why you trying to change your ways to get in good with the Americans?
Right.
Why are you trying to get in good you know, with you know, your boss and them and go out with them and, you know, be a part of the club and put on a Make America Great hat? I put on a, you know, whatever the case may be. Well, I think I'm focusing too much on politics, but you're just trying to be a part of America and you're just trying to be accepted and you're willing to do anything for it.
Right.
You're willing to change your spirituality. You're willing to change your haircut. You're willing to do anything to get that love. Read it from the top again.
Come on. Why trimmest thou way to seek love?
And that's what we do. We trim us our ways to seek love. Spiritual, as far as the spiritual aspect go, we trim us our ways to seek God the way they say to seek God. Black people seek God the way the Christian nationalists say to seek God.
Right.
You seek God in a way that makes you a coward, and it makes you hate your people and think you're better than your people. You trim your ways in every form to appease American lifestyle when you're not really American. You're a God-chosen people.
Right.
But you American, black people is American. They're original man. They Native American Indian. They indigenous. They Afro man, African. They everything except an Israelite. They everything except what we truly are. You want to be everything. You want to trim your ways to fit every philosophy and ideology to fit in. In I.S.U.P.K, we don't fit in. I don't fit in.
Right.
You see, nigga, you see me out. You look how I look. I walk outside. I do not fit in this world. I get a lot of love. I'm gonna get a lot of love. And be like, damn, brother, I love your afro.
Right.
But it's because everybody is trying to fit in. Everybody's trying to look a certain kind of way. We don't feel good anymore. Like a woman don't feel. You got a lot of women that don't feel good wearing a dress. They don't think it's. How can I say? They think it's ugh. They think like they're not cute enough. They're not sexy enough. Don't even know that brothers love a woman in a dress. It's so beautiful. It's so what you call it? Not the word ain't sexy, is it? Attractive. It's so attractive. You know? You got you know, we trim our ways in how we look, how we think we should look, and how we think we should talk. But more importantly, it's what we believe in.
Right.
That's the most important thing. What we believe in, our philosophy on life. Like your philosophy on life shouldn't be, oh, I'm this, you know, I'm from this political party, then I'm a Christian. It should be what you believe in is who you are.
Right.
So what we believe in dictates who we are in the world. So we believe in Jesus Christ.
Right.
So we don't even believe in a political party. We're not voting for a damn thing, for no one. We know that this world is going to take the course that it's going to take, regardless if we vote or not. But in this world, it puts the pressure on you to trim your ways and say, you know, I got to go vote because, you know, I align with his policies. His policies is really good. And I like what he talks about healthcare and, you know, and saving the children in Afghanistan. I'm going to vote for that candidate. None of that shit even matters. It's not going to affect you.
Right.
We know this just being here. We know that throughout all the time. We just went over it with the unemployment rate. Niggas has been voting for 130 years. The unemployment rate has stayed the same. Right. Like, Nick, what are you talking about? You think voting is good? Like, the course that America is taking is biblical and prophetic on what the course is going to take. You're not going to change it by trimming your ways, like the scriptures say, and trying to be a part of it and put your brick in. Right. You better put your brick into serving the Lord. Right. Because when those missiles hit, nigga, if you're not under the truth, you're going to be kibbles and bits. You're going to be in the ashes. I'm trying to help somebody out here, Abad. Right. I don't know what's wrong with them. I'm trying to help somebody out. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help somebody out, but I guess they don't, you know. So where we at? So we was at Jeremiah. Okay, let's drop Jeremiah. Let's get Zephaniah 2:1. Okay. And this goes back to the people who you're trying to impress. We're trying to impress white Americans, and us trying to impress them and trying to be like them. What we end up doing is looking down on our people. We end up thinking we're better, you know. We end up with this self-hatred. That's the result of integration. It's a self-hatred that comes out of you, right? What you got?
Zephaniah 2:1.
You know what? You can just drop that. We ain't gonna read that. We're gonna get Let me get this video, right? Let me get this video with this pastor. Like I said I was, because we're running out of time. So I want to end on time.
And I don't celebrate anyone's murder. Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be murdered. But I'm overwhelmed to see the nation's flag fly at half staff for a man who was a proud racist and spent his entire life sowing seeds of division and hatred into this land. And then these hypocrites with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't say anything about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were gunned down in their living room. Tell me that I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who never showed compassion or respect for my life. Y'all, there's nowhere in Bible we are told to honor evil. And I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but how you died does not redeem how you lived. Your death does not make you a hero. It does not make you one who should be honored. It does not make you one who should be respected. I can be sorry about your death, but not celebrate your life. You did not live. And I'm overwhelmed. It's tiring being black in America. It's exhausting defending your existence everywhere you go. It's an assault on my identity to keep seeing this nonsense in our nation, and I am overwhelmed. Try to live out.
Listen. What the pastor was saying, the shit was, some of it was heavy. I mean, go ahead, Abba.
So like, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard a Christian pastor say.
I mean, what he was saying was, it was on point. I mean, I'm not knocking nothing he's saying, because, he's speaking truthfully, and you rarely hear a pastor talk like this. You know what I'm saying? This is controversial talk. He almost there. I think he almost there. He ready to put on all black.
Right.
He might be ready to put on all black. You know what I'm saying? He right there. He tired.
Right.
See, the truth, in order to come to the truth, you got to get tired a little bit. You got to be tired of your circumstance. It sounded like he tired. It sounded like he said, I'm overwhelmed. It's tiring of being black in America. And I wonder how many Christians in the church think like that, or actually feel that way. And so he said a lot of things. He said everything he said about Charlie Kirk was truthful, and what he said at the end was truthful. Now, when it comes to Christian church, I mean, if they can figure out Charlie Kirk was a racist, you would think they could figure out that Jesus Christ is not a white man.
Right.
You would think they would start searching. You know what I mean? The thing about this, though, is that at this point in time, they're serving, him and Charlie Kirk serves the same white Jesus.
Right.
That's the problem. You see, that was a beautiful message. Beautiful. You know what I mean? And, you could tell that he meant everything he said. You could tell that. The problem with pastors is that it's one thing that is missing. In his case, is one thing he's missing, and that is telling the people what their nationality is,
right,
and who they truly are. he wouldn't be so tired if he knew that he is dealing with the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
It would have been a totally different sermon. He would have just, that last part he said is tiring being black in America. He wouldn't have said it. He would have just said Charlie Kirk was a devil. Scotty beamed him up. Good riddance. You know what I'm saying? But give me Jeremiah 17:4. This is the thing with, and before I go into this, let me just say because we did talk about integration, and I did go into that message of Charlie Kirk about why the black family is messed up. Well, integration was the reason why it's messed up. And what integration has done is the results of integration is poverty, it's crime, it's poor health, it is poor decisions, it is self-hate, and it is a lack of morals in the black community.
Right.
That's what integration did to black people. You know what I mean? Before that, we had our mind a little to get together in the 1950s, but that is also a result of integration. Now, this is the thing with these pastors and thing with Christianity. You hear we say it all the time, is that they don't know the Bible, they don't understand the Bible. Well, this is why the Walker Bar is having an online class, so I can teach a Christian pastor what his heritage is, And if you have any questions about how this happened, how that happened, I could go into the history and pull out some history, some historical documents, some facts, some artifacts, you know what I mean, and show him and piece the puzzle together. But at the end of the day, it's really about you and it's about your spirit having a contrite spirit and saying, I want answers to why my people are the way they are. I want answers to why my life doesn't change, and I've been trying all type of things to do, and nothing works for me. I need an answer. And maybe you should be, if you really truly want that answer, maybe you should go home and go in your room and you should pray to God and ask him, Lord, show me an answer. Show me, is this thing true? Show me who we really are. Show me what you want to show me. Show me if those niggas that I see hollering on the corner, if they really are, did you send them, or is they just, grifters? You should go and pray and ask and prove us wrong and prove the truth wrong. You know what I mean? But the reason why a pastor doesn't know, real brief history, is because what he is teaching, the theology of Christ, the theology of the Christ that I was about to say Captain Kirk, the theology of Christ that Charlie Kirk was professing, because he said he wanted to be remembered for his Christianity, his love of Jesus. Those things come from the theology that was passed down through the Roman Catholic Church, that comes from the Roman, from the Byzantine Empire, from Rome. So that theology, our ancestors got that on the plantation. Our ancestors got the Christianity that is in most black churches today on the plantation. And that leaves us with an identity gap. There's a gap in there, because when we came here as slaves, our identity was taken. We lost our identity.
Right.
And so that is what filled the void. So the majority of black people today their faith, their spirituality is Christianity, Baptist, the majority. And then I think Islam might be second, but give me that.
Okay. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 4.
And
thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
So what happened is we discontinued from our heritage. This was prophesied, this would happen. This happened in West Africa. We discontinued from our heritage. Meaning our heritage was cut off. You ever wanted a pair of shoes or something that you use, some instrument or something, you want to go buy it again, and they say, oh, that was discontinued. It's no more. There's no more on the shelf. That's what happened to our identity. It was discontinued. We was in West Africa mixing and mingling with Hamites. Not all the way mixing, but that happened too. But we following their gods and doing Lord knows what, and then went on the transatlantic slave trade to the Americas. And we came over here. We were in that vacuum of that discontinued heritage.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. that I gave thee, and will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
That's what happened to us. The Lord is telling you, for you black Christians, I don't know that pastor name, but for that pastor, for you black Christians, this is what the Lord is telling you, your history right here. This is your history through the prophet Jeremiah. This is your history of the last 500 years and how we got to this point. Is that it on it? Go ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So we went through slavery and we kindled a fire in the Most High. We made him really, really upset, like a child will make a father really, really upset. And be glad because we went through slavery, because that lets you know that the Lord loves you, because he punished us. He didn't punish everybody else. A father is not going to go outside and punish all the kids that's being bad. He's going to punish his child because he loves his child and he wants to correct his child, and he doesn't want his child to do wrong. You understand? Give me Hosea 4:6, and then we'll end it with Romans 9:18. He doesn't. A father loves his child. You understand? And so the Lord loves us enough that even though we discontinued our heritage in 1969, the truth came out again, and brothers were sitting down discussing the truth and learning from. Let me tell you, let me just explain it real quick. The truth came from slaves, and the truth made its way up to the north. And then in the north in 1969, New York, brothers started going on the streets, being the first to teach in the streets of America that Jesus Christ was a black man, being the first to teach that these are God's chosen people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And that truth is very, even in 2025, when you look at the big giant religions of Christianity, the truth is very young.
Right.
But the truth is now spreading more and more. The understanding that we're God's chosen people. We're not just some African tribe that got sold by other Africans. You're not. A lot of y'all niggas right now is talking about, nigga, I'm not from Africa, nigga. I'm a Native American Indian. Nigga, you got 4C here and you put a feather in your head talking about you Native Salakia. I'm playing, but your foreparents came off the boat and you're talking about your Native American Indian. That's another thing. Black people like to say, we always want to say we mix with something. We always want to be, I got a little bit of Irish in me. My grandfather was Irish and my grandmother had some German in her. Nigga, all right, bro. You got it. You got it. I ain't mad at you. But so getting back to it, like, this truth was taught to the world in 1969.
Right.
This is the first time where you get the knowledge of who God's chosen people are in the modern era on the Western hemisphere. There is nobody else that is saying what the I.S.U.P.K is saying in 1969. There is nobody else. There is nobody. So the Lord allowed for that heritage to come back through niggas from the ghetto.
Right.
Regular niggas. Regular black men that you would say, oh, they look like criminals. Black men, you would say they don't look like men of God. Where's their suits? Where's their penny loafers? Where's their alligator shoes? Where's their shiny, where's the nice cars? Where's their mega church at? Those ain't men of God. Why they talk the way they talk? A man of God don't talk like that. No, he talks like a theologian. He talks like, and Jesus Christ met Mark. And Mark said, this is my Lord. You think that we supposed to talk a certain kind of way. You think that we're supposed to look a certain kind of way. That's what they thought about the disciples. Didn't you know that all the disciples sat in jail? Didn't you know that damn near everybody rolling with Christ was put in prison? They had a warrant out for Christ's arrest. What makes a man of God? He never been to jail before? What, because a man goes to jail, he's because he comes from a poor place. Did you know that Christ came from a poor place? He came from Nazareth. He came from a very poor place. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that this truth for the Christians, you don't know. This is who you are. And we can prove this with the Bible first, and we can prove this with history second. And with third, we can prove it with artifacts. And fourth, we can prove it with manuscripts.
Right.
And I can prove that you are children of God. But if you don't want to be the children of God, well, hell, maybe this gift is not for you. Right. Let me hear what you got.
Come on.
Drop that. Let me just get into Romans 9 and 13 for time's sake. Come on. We're over time. So when you say in the Christian church, oh, you guys have a hate message. It's not love, love, love. Jesus Christ wasn't all about love.
Right.
The Bible say that Jesus Christ was an austere man. He also say that the enemies that wouldn't bow before him for the things that he won't, slay them at his feet. Take their life right now. Execute them. That's the Jesus Christ in the Bible.
Right.
I don't know what you reading. I don't know what you thinking. Many of y'all don't even believe the Bible in the Christian church. Y'all believe in y'all feelings. You believe the shit that come out your grandma's mouth about Jesus. You don't even believe the scriptures. You believe the things that come out of your the things that come out of your pastor mouth about Jesus. You don't even believe what the Bible says about Jesus.
Right.
Christ said, believe on me as the scripture has said. Not how a pastor has said, or your grandma has said, or the Hell's Angels has said. You know, I remember one time we was young, when they came to the community center, they had the Hell's Angels for Christ. It was all white bikers trying to teach us about Jesus. I never forget it. Like it's been some crazy stuff, but that's the point is we need to go back to believing what the Bible says about God.
That's right.
Not what people say about God. Not what theology says about God. The scripture says that Israelites were ordained before the beginning of time. But you think that you're ordained by going and paying $50 to some white man and he give you a license to say you can be a pastor now. Because you learned a few studies on theology. That's not it. Let me hear it.
Oh God. The book of Romans chapter 9 verse 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
This is some homework for you black Christians, you Hispanic Christians, you Catholics, all of y'all that say y'all believe in the Bible, you pastors that have a triple theology doctorate with a bachelor on the side in communications about Jesus Christ. What you need to do, this is your homework. Read that again. Read it from the top.
Come on, God. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Your homework is to find out who is Jacob and who is Esau. Come back to these comments and post it in the comment. Who is Jacob and who is Esau? That's your homework. Find out that. And then you'll understand why Trey Reed is hanging from a tree at a university.
Right.
And then you'll understand why Donald Trump is mainly targeting Mexican people and not other immigrants in America.
Right.
And then you'll understand why Donald Trump wants to erase Black history. And then you'll understand why the day after Charlie Kirk's death, white people in rage made threats to HBCUs and with threats of violence and bombing. And then you'll understand during the Emmett Till trial, their family was getting death threats and bomb threats. And then you understand why churches was bombed. You understand why Black people were lynched after slavery. You understand why Ronald Reagan put crack cocaine in the Black community. You'll understand it all when you learn who you are. With that, that's the class, all right? I appreciate everybody that was in the class tonight. The water to y'all, Trooper Batak, Black Dazzle, everybody that was in here rocking with me. Smarter Than Most, Halak, and even the troll. Who was the troll? Or did he delete himself? Yahweh, yeah, he never said anything. But even the water to you, because you turn the switch on, right? All right, Israel, we're up out of here. We'll see you next Wednesday. With that, Israel, shalom. Let's clap it up.